Hello world, Shelly here, and it's time for your Friday foundation fix, where you can get your fix of foundation reviews in between foundation fests. And today I'm checking out from Dose of Colors the Meet Your HUE foundation. Retails for $36 for 1 fluid ounce of product. Do not be mistaken by the fact that Ulta's website claims that you get 5.4 ounces of product. The bottle has confirmed that is a lie. $36, you have 42 shades available here. I have this in shade 107, which is the 7th lightest shade, and it is described as fair, very fair with cool, neutral undertones. 42 shades to choose from. Looked through the ingredients. It looks like a silicone-based foundation. I don't see any added fragrance in the ingredient list. It is vegan. It is cruelty-free. Dose of Colors Meet Your HUE foundation is a lightweight, medium to full coverage that delivers a blurring effect which reduces the appearance of fine lines and skin imperfections. Yep, they actually claim fragrance-free, oil-free, paraben-free, talc-free. They recommend applying it any which way you prefer. Lots of shades, especially on the light and dark ends of the spectrum. I am pleased with the shade selection. Let's see how this one swatches against a few others in my collection. It is that time. On Fridays we swatch. First up is today's foundation, the Dose of Colors Meet Your HUE in shade 107 Fair. Second is the Estee Lauder Double Wear Stay in Place in 1C1 Cool Bone. Third, I've got MAC Studio Sculpt in NW15. Fourth is the Chanel Perfection Lumiere Velvet in shade 22 Beige Rosé. And last, I got the Pure 4-in-1 Love Your Selfie in shade LP4. I've already cleansed, moisturized, and sunscreened this 44-year-old face. If you missed why I have snakes on my face, I will link that video for you guys. It is essentially a henna tattoo gone wrong. It's actually not henna. It's some natural pigment, blah, 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 fake henna at the carnival. And so we'll be doing a little coverage test as well on this guy. I have normal to dry skin. My skin's pretty normal right now, dehydrates pretty easily. We do have a pump with our packaging, very classy looking. I do like this whole vibe is just, I like it. Frosted glass bottle, pump, we like pumps, keeps the product sanitary. Don't get your grubby paws in there. Let's see here. I will go in on one side of my face with a sponge. This is a dampened Real Techniques Miracle Complexion sponge. Other side, I've got a brush, also from Real Techniques. This is their foundation paddle brush. We will see if I prefer one way or the other. I have already primed with the Urban Decay Optical Illusion Primer. This is blending out easily, but I feel like the coverage is pretty light with one pass and the sponge, and it is pretty immediately starting to cling to the sort of textured dry skin I have around my mouth and sort of around my lower lip on my chin. So we will see if we can combat that with the brush. Let's do the brush side. Coverage looks about the same on the brush side. I feel like I still have a good amount of redness coming through in various points on my face, like my cheek and on my nose, and some on my forehead. I'm not liking the way the brush sort of, I just feel like I can see the makeup sitting on top of my skin. It's also clinging to dry skin that I really don't feel like I would have with other foundations. Like I see it clinging to skin that, you know, needs exfoliation, but I exfoliate like crazy, especially now that I have snakes on my face. And yeah, it's kind of clingy, and I'm not a huge fan of the coverage at this point. I would not even say we're at full coverage. Hi, new gray hair. Nice to meet you. Still have some product left. Let's see if we can even out coverage where I've got the redness. Let's not even worry about the snake for the moment and get it to not be so clingy on the dry patches. I'm going to try to build this up a little bit. The instructions on the box say to build it for higher coverage, and I do want to try to cover the snakes a little bit more. I'd love to cover up this redness that is coming through here. So let's go half a pump and see if we can get a little bit more coverage. I do prefer the look of the sponge versus the brush. You know what? The second coat looks a lot more smooth on this side of my face. I wonder if we just need 2 coats of this. Let's take what I got left. That seemed to fix the dry look over there. That definitely helped smooth things out a little bit. It looks a lot nicer on the second coat than it did on the first. I would not call this full coverage. The snakes are still visible. I get that covering up black without any color corrector is probably an impossible task, but I do still see freckles coming through, my sunspots, my little blood vessel that runs through my eye right here. So I wouldn't call it full coverage at this level. Maybe you could build it up more. I do feel like I have a lot of product on my face, so I don't want to build it up anymore. But it is definitely a solid medium, maybe even light full coverage at 2 layers. Looks nicer with 2 layers than it did with 1 layer. So this might be one that you just kind of have to wear it closer to full coverage in order to get it to work out. Definitely prefer the sponge application. One thing that's a little bit odd, I would not call this a cool undertone. They said it was cool to neutral, and this seems pretty yellow undertone to me, which is typically warm undertone. I'm neutral, so I can really lean a little bit either way, and it's not super yellow, it's just a little bit yellow, but I would not call this a cool undertone at all. I would call it neutral, leaning slightly warm. So that's a little bit odd. If you are shopping for undertones, you can really tell my eyelids are definitely pink undertone, cool undertone, and the rest of my face is now more yellow. I can pull it off, you know, especially the sun areas where I've gotten sun on my skin. I would lean warm, but that's just another thing I noticed. Let's take a look at the time. Where's my phone? It's in my pocket. It is 11:09 a.m. Let's go call it probably 11 so that I remember. I'm going to go put the rest of my face on. I'll be right back. Okay, no trouble blending concealer into this foundation. I'm using the CoverGirl True Blend Undercover. I'm using a darker shade. It's L600 Light Nude, and I'm very much liking especially the undertone for covering up the purple of my dark circles. Thumbs up there. Didn't have any trouble blending. I did have to set this with powder. I ended up setting it with the Airbrush Flawless Finish from Charlotte Tilbury because it stayed pretty tacky. Maybe that's because I had 2 layers on, but once I set it with powder, I had no trouble blending powders on top of it. I'm wearing the Natasha Denona Super Glow highlight, the CoverGirl True Blend Serving Sculpt and Highlight Palette. This has a shade, I think, for fair light skin tones. Maybe it doesn't have a shade, but I've been enjoying a peach-ish blush. I used the blush out of this one, and my bronzer is the Balm Desert. I feel like this foundation is already feeling dehydrating. I'm feeling the moisture being sucked out of my skin. I don't think the packaging or the product claims indicated what finish to expect. I would call this definitely a matte finish on me. It's not a flat finish, but it looks sort of dry on the surface of the skin, and it's feeling very, like I already feel my face getting tightening and getting that itchy sort of dehydrated tight sensation to it. So that's not good if you've got dry skin or if your skin dehydrates easily. I'm not particularly dry right now. We are like, it is raining. We have great humidity. I've got really not dry skin too bad at this moment. Pretty normal. Still dehydrates very easily, and it's dehydrating already. So that could be an issue as we go forward. We will see. On my eyes, I'm wearing the Pat McGrath Midnight Sun. I cannot get over the fall vibes. This is a perfect fall vibes eyeshadow palette. And my lip is Dose of Colors in Truffle. So that's where we are starting out. I will come back in a bit with a daylight check-in. It's very rainy. A cloudy light check-in. And I'll be back tonight to give you guys my final thoughts. Hey guys, little car update. It's only been 2 hours and already my chin is starting to super cake up. Like, where it sort of breaks apart. Also figured I might as well show you, this is how the Dose of Colors liquid lip holds up through an entire sandwich and chips and a large Diet Coke. Pretty good, I'd say. Needs a touch up in the center, but held up pretty nicely. Also, the shade's pretty dark. Considering they describe it as very fair, yeah, I don't know about that. It is not super light. Yeah, I guess at a distance we still look okay, but 2 hours in, I'm not happy to see what my chin looks like. It's also starting to emphasize this smile line in particular. This one still looks okay, but it's that sort of thing where it breaks apart and just makes the line really obvious. Anyway, I may come back and do another daylight check-in if I remember while I'm at work, because it's only been 2 hours, but that's where we're at right now. I'll see you in a bit. Hello, there is no sunshine to be had today. We are at the 6-hour mark right now. Let me get you guys, there's my snakes. Let me get you guys close up. My skin feels so dry and so tight, and I think you can tell from my hand. Like, compare my forehead to my hands. This is definitely darker. Maybe it hasn't oxidized, but it's not as light as anticipated for a very fair shade. Now, my skin feels very dry, very dehydrated, very tight. This feels heavy. I've had it gathering in my chin line pretty much all day. I've been kind of scooping it out of there. Not super comfortable. So that's where we're at. I think at a distance it still looks fine. I have not gotten a good look up close, so hopefully this camera will pick anything up that might be troublesome. Oh, it's just so tight feeling. Ooh, so tight feeling. I'll be back tonight. We'll wrap this thing up. 7:39 p.m. Let's take a look at where we are at with the Dose of Colors Meet Your Hue. About 8.5 hours in. I want to take this off, you guys. So here's just the nutshell of this whole thing. If you don't have dry skin and you have no fine lines or wrinkles, you might like this. Unfortunately for the grade on this foundation, my reviews are based on dry skin over the age of 40. And for dry skin over the age of 40, we're not looking so hot. Let's zoom in. Coverage has remained pretty well. I have no complaints about the coverage. It is starting to break down, and we're not even at the 9-hour mark, so around my mouth I'm getting that cakey sort of bunched up look. All of my lines, even micro wrinkles, the product has separated along them, making those like crevices across the foundation. It's happening on my smile lines, it's happening around my mouth, it is happening on every micro wrinkle on my forehead. But my cheeks, which have no wrinkles, a little bit of texture but no wrinkles, look beautiful. They look like I just put my makeup on. They look smooth. They look nice. So that's why I say this is probably a really nice foundation if you're not dealing with fine lines and you're not dealing with dry skin. This is super tight, itchy, dehydrated, drying feeling. I don't think I have worn something that feels this drying since I can remember. It's been a very long time since I have felt this uncomfortable due to dehydration of my skin. So this feels like a very drying formula to me. I would say that usually means it's going to work great for oily skin, but if your skin does not produce a ton of oil, this one's a doozy. Not comfortable. Still looks nice at a conversational distance, but I will never put this on again. It's just not made for me. It's one of those that I can just tell this one was not made for dry, mature skin. Maybe it will work for others, because in other places it still looks pretty. So if I had to give a grade for dry and mature skin to the Dose of Colors Meet Your Hue, this to me is like a solid, I'm going to go D+. It's below average on the things that are my primary concerns. It's still a very nice looking foundation, I think, for other people, potentially. But for dry and maturing skin, I cannot recommend this. It is uncomfortable, very drying, and separates along all kinds of micro lines and wrinkles, making you look older. Generally not the point. So, there you have it. Another Friday foundation fix in the books. A bummer, but there are always more foundations to try. Let me know in the comments down below which ones you would like to see me try. If you haven't checked my website, go to geekoutawater.com, click the Foundation Fest link. I have a ranked, sortable, searchable spreadsheet of all 130 plus reviews that I have ever done. I've got top 10 lists for different categories like high-end, drugstore, cruelty-free, hydrating. And let me know what you guys would like me to review next. I keep a running list and I buy them whenever I can. As always, thanks a lot for taking some time out of your day to geek out over makeup with me. Come back every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern Time for new videos. I appreciate your time, and I hope you all have an awesome day or night wherever you are in the world. Take care of each other. Bye-bye.